The air was crisp and dark, still clinging to the cloak of night. Elara, a woman worn thin by the ceaseless grind of poverty, rose with the crescent moon. Her home was a humble clay structure, its thatched roof perpetually weeping during the rainy season. Since her husband's passing years prior, she had shouldered the crushing weight of caring for herself and her 2 young children alone. Survival was a daily, relentless quest. Before the sun could peak above the horizon, Elara took up her heavy earthenware jar and began the trek to the Omi River. This morning ritual was strategic. Arriving early meant avoiding the jostling crowds and securing cool, clear water, allowing her to return and prepare pap for her children, Kofi and Aisha, before they awoke. As she traversed the winding, narrow path, the first chirps of the forest kingfishers sounded, and a cool, dew-laden breeze kissed her skin. Reaching the river, she quickly submerged her pot, feeling the satisfying resistance as it filled. She lifted the heavy burden onto the cushion she wore on her head, her neck and shoulders long accustomed to the strain. To save time, Elara decided to take the little-used shortcut, a scraggly path leading directly through the dense scrub at the back of the village. It was a route meant to bypass the longer main trail. Rounding a bend near a towering irako tree, she saw them, 3 men, burly and grim-faced, dressed in rough leather and carrying muskets. They were the local gamekeepers, known for their ruthless efficiency. They were absorbed in a low, conspiratorial exchange. Elara offered a respectful, subdued greeting. "Good day, sirs." Their reply was curt and dismissive, their eyes cold. They barely glanced her way, their focus glued to their whispered conversation. Elara quickly moved past, but their words, sharp and mercenary, pierced the pre-dawn stillness. "A fortune, I tell you. We'll be set for life." "I still can't believe we netted the pregnant siren near the estuary," one hissed, a greedy laugh escaping him. "Double the price for this one, easily." The second man chuckled darkly. "The city merchant will pay a king's ransom. They say the fetal essence of a breeding siren holds power unimaginable. We sell them both, father and child, a complete haul." Elara's steps faltered. Pregnant siren. Double money. Sell to a big city man. The word spun a terrifying web in her mind. Her heart began to hammer against her ribs, a frantic drumbeat of dread. Was this ancient village lore suddenly real? Driven by a fear she couldn't name, she veered off the shortcut entirely, seeking the deeper cover of the thicket behind the large bamboo groves. She needed to evade the hunters and process the shocking words she'd overheard. As she moved through the rustling foliage, a sound arrested her, a soft, plaintive sob, barely audible. Elara carefully set her water jar down, its weight suddenly insignificant compared to the invisible presence ahead. "Help. Please, someone help me." The voice was weak, laced with desperate sorrow. Trembling, Elara crept toward a giant, leaning bamboo stalk, and what she saw froze the blood in her veins. Bound to the sturdy stalk with thick, crude hemp rope was a being of ethereal beauty. She possessed a woman's torso and head, with long, dark hair matted and glistening with river water. Her skin had a luminous quality, but her wide, tear-filled eyes conveyed sheer terror. Her belly was swollen with advanced pregnancy. But below her waist, where legs should have been, stretched a magnificent, shimmering silver-scaled tail, now secured immovably to the tree trunk. Elara was looking at a captive meridian, a creature of myth, now heartbreakingly real and utterly helpless. The mermaid lifted one arm, the movement strained by the rough rope cutting into her skin. "Please, they will return. They mean to kill me and my infant," she pleaded, her voice a fragile whisper. Elara staggered back. Every cautionary tale from her childhood, of water spirits dragging souls to the depths, screamed at her to run. But the mermaid's profound, suffering gaze was a tether she couldn't break. This was not a monster, this was a woman in dire need. Are you truly a meridian?" Elara finally managed to stammer, kneeling cautiously. The captive nodded, fresh tears tracing paths down her cheeks. "Yes. And they caught me when I rose to the surface at midnight. They intend to sell my life and my child's life for gold. Hurry, please. They will be here soon. Elara saw the deep bruising and the way the mermaid shivered uncontrollably. Pity crushed her fear. She had to act. But just as she reached out to touch the bonds, she heard the unmistakable sound of men's voices, closer now, accompanied by harsh laughter. "We'll retrieve her and be gone before the village stirs," one of the hunters called out. Elara's breath hitched. She was trapped. She quickly scrambled behind a thick cluster of ferns. Her water pot, still sitting by the trail, was a glaring sign of her presence. The mermaid watched in silent, panicked agony. The heavy footsteps scraped the dry earth, closing in on the bamboo grove. Elara prayed silently, her heart a frantic drum against her ribs. The hunters were mere yards away, their voices a low, menacing rumble. Just as the lead hunter was about to turn the corner of the bamboo screen, a sharp, sudden shout rang out from the back of the group. "Wait! A diker! Look!" The word diker, a small antelope, was a magical distraction. The other two hunters instantly spun around, their eyes lighting up with the primal instinct of the chase. "Where? Which way?" they roared, already sprinting into the dense scrub towards the river, their attention fixed on the false target. The sound of their heavy boots crashing through the undergrowth faded rapidly as they chased their imagined prey. Elara burst from her hiding place. This was her sole window of opportunity. She rushed back to the meridian. "They're gone for now. We must hurry," she whispered, her fingers already fumbling with the coarse, unforgiving knot. The rope was wound savagely tight, biting into her own fingers as she pulled. The meridian, whose name she didn't know, let out soft groans of pain but watched Elara with an intensity of desperate hope. Finally, with a painful tear and a last heave, the final knot gave way. The hemp rope fell uselessly to the ground. The meridian's arms dropped, and she sagged against the tree, too weak to move her tail. "Thank you. Thank you," the meridian murmured, exhaustion and relief making her voice tremble. Elara scanned the surroundings. She could still hear the distant shouts of the hunters near the river's edge. Her clay pot was lost to the cause, she couldn't risk carrying it. The meridian tried to propel herself forward, but her massive, silvery tail merely flopped against the dry leaves. "I am too weak. I cannot move on the land," she admitted, despair in her eyes. Elara knew the weight would be immense, but she didn't hesitate. She bent down and slipped her arms under the meridian's waist. The woman was heavier than she looked, dense with the weight of the water and the life inside her. Elara gritted her teeth, braced her legs, and managed to lift the meridian, positioning the woman's arm over her own shoulder in a cumbersome carry. The pregnant belly made the movement awkward and painful for both of them. Step by agonizing step, Elara began the slow, torturous retreat. They moved off the path, keeping to the shadows and avoiding the crunching of dry leaves, their progress agonizingly slow. Every few minutes, Elara had to stop, leaning against a tree to rest her shaking legs. The meridian, moaning softly, clutched her swollen abdomen. "Hold on. We are close. I will not leave you," Elara repeated, her own wrapper now drenched with sweat despite the cool air. The sun was now fully illuminating the sky, its warmth increasing the urgency of their escape. After what felt like an eternity of stopping, lifting, and walking, they finally reached the outskirts of the village and Elara's familiar, ramshackle mud dwelling. She gently nudged the fragile wooden door open. Inside, her children, Kofi and Aisha, were still deeply asleep on their sleeping mat. Thank goodness, she thought. She maneuvered the meridian inside and lowered her onto the mat, the magnificent silver tail resting heavily on the dusty floor. The meridian groaned, gripping her stomach. Her arms were visibly swollen and bruised. "I must get you warm water," Elara whispered, her mind focused on care. She quickly retrieved water, heated it over the sputtering kitchen fire, and returned with a cloth. Dipping it in the warm water, she began to gently massage the rope burns and swollen areas. The meridian winced, then sighed with deep relief. Nessa, the Meridian whispered, her eyes fluttering open. My name is Nessa. Nessa. That is beautiful, Alara replied, her own name, Alara, offered in return. Rest now. You are safe. Suddenly, the soft sound of approaching footsteps, and then a shadow filling the doorway. Creak. The wooden door swung inward. Alara quickly rushed forward, using her body to shield Nessa from view. Who is there? Why are you barging in like this? Alara demanded, breathlessly. It was Mama Aziza, the village's chief purveyor of gossip and intrusive neighborliness. She was known to sniff out a secret from a mile away. Alara, why the sudden wall? What are you hiding in this hovel? Mama Aziza asked, her voice laced with suspicion as she craned her neck. Alara forced a light, dismissive laugh. Hiding? Nothing, Mama. You are too early for such mischief. What can I do for you? Mama Aziza tried to peer over Alara's shoulder, then bent to the side, but Alara moved, a human wall blocking the view of Nessa's tail and swollen form. I only came to borrow your best water pot, Mama Aziza announced, folding her arms. Alara's mind screamed. The pot. The one left by the hunter's lair. Giving it away was a direct link to the crime. Ah, Mama, forgive me. I am utilizing that one heavily today. I cannot spare it, Alara managed, forcing a strained smile. Mama Aziza's eyes narrowed. Utilizing it? You are acting very strange, Alara. Are you hiding a gentleman caller in there? I smell secrecy. A man. Mama Aziza, please. Such talk is scandalous. I implore you, leave my compound. Alara shouted, her voice shaking with fear and manufactured outrage. Mama Aziza tisk-sked, shaking her head as she backed away. I shall return, Alara. I will see what is worth this drama. Alara didn't move until the gossip's footsteps faded entirely. She slammed the door shut and sagged against it, panting. She's gone, Nessa. We are safe, Alara whispered, turning around. But it was too late. A small, terrified gasp echoed through the hut. Kofi, her eldest son, stood transfixed by the sight of the shimmering silver tail and the beautiful, exhausted woman on the mat. Mama! What is that? A demon? Is it going to curse us? Kofi screamed, pointing a trembling finger. Alara rushed to Kofi, pulling him into a tight embrace. Hush, my son, please. She is not a demon. She is a Meridian woman, and she is sick and pregnant. The cruel gamekeepers tried to murder her. We must help her. Kofi's small body shook. But the elders say they steal souls. They say they are dangerous. Nessa, tears in her eyes, weakly pushed herself up on her elbow. I promise you, little one. I will never harm you or your mother. I just need to be safe long enough to save my baby. Alara looked at her son. Kofi, if you tell anyone, the hunters will return. They will kill Nessa and they will harm us for helping her. You must promise me on your life that this is our secret. Kofi, looking between the tears in his mother's eyes and the genuine pain in Nessa's face, finally nodded slowly. I promise, Mama. I won't tell. The young boy, his fear subsiding into curiosity and pity, asked a shy question. Are you hungry? A fragile smile touched Nessa's lips. Yes, thank you. Alara quickly prepared a warm bowl of thick pap, a fermented corn pudding, for the wounded Meridian. But as she worked, a cold dread gripped her. The hunters would be searching. Mama Aziza would return. Nessa could not stay here. A few hours later, the village felt the hard, unwelcome arrival of authority. 3 angry gamekeepers stomped through the dirt paths, their faces contorted with rage and failure. They were questioning every villager, demanding to know who went to the river at dawn and who owned the abandoned earthenware pot. They eventually reached Elara's hut. She was grinding maize in her mortar when the loud, heavy knock shook the door frame. Her heart plummeted, but she wiped her brow and opened the door, forcing a calm she didn't feel. "Good day, hunters," she greeted them, a thin smile plastered on her face. "We seek the woman who left her pot by the river this morning." "Do you know who she is?" the lead hunter demanded, his eyes sharp and intrusive. Elara met his gaze evenly. "I am sorry, sirs. I have been here since before light, pounding maize for my children. I saw no one, and I know nothing of an abandoned pot." The hunters peered inside the small, humble room. They saw only a poor woman, her two small children beginning to stir, and no visible sign of anything suspicious. Frustrated, they gave a grunt of dismissal and walked away, convinced Elara was too insignificant to be of interest. Elara closed the door, her whole body shaking. Nessa was safe for the moment, but the risk was too great. That night, when the great mother moon cast a silvery glow over the village, Elara quietly prepared for the final, most dangerous journey. She roused her children, Kofi and Aisha. "Mama must go out. Lock the door and do not open it for any soul until I return," she instructed them. Kofi nodded solemnly, understanding the immense secret they shared. Elara took her largest, thickest wrap and carefully bound Nessa with it, concealing the beautiful, telltale fishtail. She lifted the heavy meridian onto her back, carrying her as one would carry a cherished, large infant. The walk back was terrifying. Every nocturnal sound, the hoot of an owl, the croak of a bullfrog, sent jolts of adrenaline through her. She kept to the darkest, most overgrown paths. Finally, they reached the Omi River. The water sparkled under the lunar light, a vast, welcoming expanse. Elara gently lowered Nessa to the water's edge. "You are home, Nessa," Elara whispered, tears streaming down her face. "Elara, I have no words strong enough to thank you. You risked everything, your life, your children's lives, for me and my baby," Nessa said, her voice filled with deep emotion. Nessa slowly began to crawl forward. As her silver tail touched the cool river current, a visible surge of life flowed into her. The moonlight caught the scales, causing them to pulse with an almost blinding luminescence. Nessa's strength returned in an instant. She turned back to Elara. "Kindness is a current that flows deep, Elara. It will always return to its source. I will never forget the humanity you showed a creature of the deep," Nessa promised. With a final, gentle splash, Nessa slipped fully into the river. Elara watched as the radiant shimmer of the silver tail vanished into the black, silent water. 7 days later, Elara woke with an urgent need in the dead of night. She stepped outside her hut, her wrapper secured, and stopped dead. Sitting directly in front of her door, gleaming under the moonlight, were 3 ornate chests carved from dark, unidentifiable wood, each bound with heavy copper fastenings. They were undeniably real and incredibly heavy. Elara looked around wildly. The village was asleep. No one. She dragged the chests inside, her mind reeling. Who? How? Days later, her conscience clear that no one would claim such a mystery, she prized open the lids. Inside, the boxes were not filled with food or simple tools, but with a king's bounty, heaps of shimmering gold dust, intricate strings of deep-sea coral beads, and ancient, lustrous silver trade coins. Elara's life changed, but slowly, carefully. She sold the coral beads in a distant market, using the money to purchase and renovate a much sturdier house on the edge of the village. Her children, Kofi and Aisha, were enrolled in the local school and ate nourishing meals daily. Villagers quickly noticed. Elara, once the epitome of poverty, now carried herself with quiet dignity, her children robust and healthy. When nosy neighbors, including Mama Aziza, asked with thinly veiled envy, "Elara, how has the earth suddenly rewarded you so greatly?" Amara became the wealthiest woman in the village, but she never revealed the source of her fortune. Each night, she sat beneath the moon, gazing toward the river, praying for Nene and her child. She knew in her heart that Nene had left the gold as thanks for saving her life. Amara taught her children to always help those in need and to show kindness to strangers. When asked how she became so wealthy, she would smile and simply say, "Kindness always comes back." And that was how a poor woman, who once helped a pregnant mermaid, became the richest and most respected person in the village. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the story, please leave a like and subscribe.